The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for April 2nd, 2026. This is season 15, episode number 58, and episode number 572 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we're actually recording this on April 1st. I did not do any April Fool's jokes or anything today. At least I didn't think so. I didn't, right, Taylor? No, I didn't do anything to you, right?
No, I mean, not that I know.
Did anybody pull any April Fools on you at all?
No, but, aside from being at the arena, which now that I come to think about it, we should have asked like Emery or somebody if there was anything like the guys did in the locker room kind of stuff. But no, I mean, I pretty much work alone. Like I don't deal with anybody at work. So it'd be pretty hard to pull one over on me, I guess.
Yeah. And I had the day off, and we were both at the arena for practice. Our second time in the last 2 weeks being there for practice, which was, I thought, pretty awesome for a second time. They started a little bit later than the first time. When we went the first time, there was the goalie sessions, number one, right? And that was pretty neat. And then they did regular practice at, I think, 10 o'clock. This practice started shortly after, like right around 5:20, because as I walked in, this was very interesting. I walk in, I got my gear, and I kind of go up, and I was like, oh, they're doing team pictures. And so they were all lined up. They were facing the press box. Bill and Nancy were there taking the pictures from Just Sports Photography. And they do a great job every year when they do this. And I was like, oh, okay, here we are. They're doing that. So I didn't go up to the press box until I heard that the guys were done. And I think at some point you had already walked in and you were talking to Brooks, and you guys were having a conversation, and Brooks told you that went much quicker than it normally does.
Yeah, by the time that I had walked in, I think they were just starting practice. And, Brooks and I kind of passed each other, and then he had turned around and come back to talk to me because I was right at the players' corner where they would come off the ice. And so I could kind of see what they were doing. Right. And it looked like they were just starting. But, yeah, we had a really long conversation. It was really nice. But, it turns out that picture day is the most stressful day when it comes to, if you had to ask Brooks what day is the worst, it's going to be picture day.
Because
I guess there's quite a few prima donnas on the team. And I should have asked, either Q or Emery or anybody who the prima donnas were and, who was causing issues and stuff, because it would have been pretty funny to see what the answers would have been.
Yeah, because I think there's this whole who wants to sit down, who wants to stand up during the pictures, things of that nature. It's a very interesting day, and I'm sure it's like herding cats. And anybody who owns cats knows you can't herd cats. You can't tell cats what to do, and that's very similar with hockey players. So that's what they did today. I'm sure there will be a poster that'll be coming out sometime within the next 2 home games. I don't think there will be one this weekend. They have so much going on. I don't think they would do that then, but maybe they are. I don't know. I mean, can you get them printed that quickly? Maybe you can. I don't know. You're the one that does the poster giveaway. Can you do a poster, 5,000 posters that quickly?
I don't know about that many. I mean, I print 1 or 2 a week. So, I doubt they go through Walmart for theirs. But, I mean, when I send it to Walmart, I get a message like 2 minutes later that it's ready for pickup. So it's not, for my process, it's really quick. But I'm getting 1 or 2 posters. So it doesn't take that long. But, a lot of things happening this weekend. I'd be very surprised if they had posters. I mean, that's a very quick turnaround to have pictures done on Wednesday and to have a poster ready by Friday. That would be an insane turnaround. Yeah. I wouldn't think that it's impossible, but I wouldn't expect it for this week. But, it is nice to know that, picture day this year went a lot quicker, according to Brooks.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. So we watched practice. You were actually working on a little homework project that I kind of set your eyes on, or your attention to, right? And one of the things that I noticed about practice today was they didn't do the same thing that they did 2 weeks ago, and I like that. It basically means that they are looking at video, looking to see what they can improve on, and they're creating practice around those things, right? And I'm sure there were some things that they did that's similar from week to week on Wednesdays, because we've been there on 2 Wednesdays now in the last couple of weeks. But there was some different stuff, and I very much enjoyed it. A lot of it is so about the transitioning from zone to zone and setting up and taking shots on the netminders. And I really do appreciate being able to see that and how they work on that, because then when you see it actually happen in the game, you understand where it comes from.
Yeah, I also really, because something else that you brought up about, not everybody does it, is the fact that during practices, they're in different colored jerseys, their practice jerseys. So you have your 3 lines, which are different jerseys. The defensive men all wear black. So you can kind of differentiate who the people are, which is also hysterical, because, half the time you're asking me who is who. And it's
because I'm
funny
blind.
for me.
It's literally because I'm blind. I have a hard time seeing, even when we sit that close during practice, because we sit probably in section 2 or 3. It's probably section 3 that you and I go down to, and we kind of sit and we kind of watch, and then we talk about the lines, because I like to see the lines. And my friend Jessie, who passed away, that was her big thing, was just tweeting out the lines. And I like to see who in practice people are skating with. So it gives us an idea of what's going to happen maybe in game time. Now, we don't know about one line because there was only 2 people in that color. We'll kind of keep that between me and Taylor at the moment, and maybe like Brant Sherwood and Coach Q, because they know what we're talking about. There were 2 guys that were in just one color. And so it was interesting. We did see Gavin on the ice, which was a good positive sign. So I think that's something that everyone should be very happy with. Gavin was skating. He does have an upper body injury. We're not going to indulge in or tell what that is, but he does have an upper body, and but he was on the ice and he was participating in some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, the giant caution tape, as I like to say, because he's wearing bright yellow, is pretty funny. But
yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, it was definitely. I do like because you had mentioned about not everybody does it, and it would be. I almost feel like it'd be so hard to understand what was going on in other like if you didn't have the different colors and the differentiation. I mean, obviously the guys know who they're skating with type of stuff, but for people watching or anybody like media wise who would be paying attention, it must be so hard if they're not wearing the different colors. I mean, as it is, you and I have a hard enough time because we're sitting there rattling off everybody that we can see, and we're, well, wait, isn't that, well, and even the colors, we're still messing up and we're still trying to get everybody all lined up. And we took a good portion trying to figure out that. But yeah, it was definitely, it's a lot of fun to kind of see them, how they work together, how they click together, the way the lines are set up, the way they do things, the way they run their practices in general. It's a really interesting experience, and it's been a lot of fun both times that I've been there.
Yeah. So a couple things, mental notes that I had. We only saw 2 goaltenders. We saw Dominic Tomei and we saw Connor McAnanama on the ice. So it was great to see, obviously, C-Mac back on the ice practicing with the Binghamton Black Bears. What's funny about C-Mac is I made a comment to you and Steven in our little group chat that we have with Steven McAnanama. And I said, and this was a few weeks back and everything, I was like, he might not be in a team picture this year, right? So, like, because of the movement back and forth, him from Binghamton to the SP, then going up to the ECHL and sitting for 4 games and kind of being the backup, and then coming back down to the SPHL, people are all taking their pictures. I was like, he's not going to be in a team picture. And then, boom, they were doing the team picture today, and he's in it. Well, so shows what I know. I didn't realize Binghamton was doing their team picture so late in the season. A lot of teams will do it, I mean, I did see The Minnesota Wild do theirs, but they got a few more weeks left in their season. We only got a couple more weeks left in their season. And depending on when your last home game is, which is when you usually hand out the posters for those things, that was that. The other note that we noticed probably in the practice was Nick Swain wasn't there. Now, I know sometimes Nick Swain, because of his work schedule, sometimes has to work out things with Scherzi about practice. So that could be the reason why for that. But it was interesting. Great to have the practice. And then, of course, the other thing that I want to talk about here real quick is you being a part of another interview, and this time with Emerson Emery. Give the fans your high-level thoughts of doing the interview with Emerson.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I don't want to say it's nerve-wracking, because it really wasn't nerve-wracking, but it's a different feeling to kind of get to sit like one-on-one with these guys and have like an actual, like, just open conversation, and to be able to ask some of the questions that we were asking. Because a lot of it is like, like, I get we're doing it for a show and we're doing it for an interview so the fans can kind of hear some stuff. But at the same time, they're also just questions that I generally, like, I want to know certain things, and like I want to like understand more about either the game or the player, or like, the kind of mindset that goes on. And a lot of that, like, I kind of told you afterwards, because I got to hear the entire interview with Q because I was up there listening.
Right.
It really kind of like opens your mind to see the different perspectives and to kind of understand things in a different light than just being a fan. So to kind of be able to sit down and talk to these players one-on-one, it's been a really phenomenal. It's been a lot of fun. Emerson is such a nice guy. He's so easy to talk to. I really appreciate the time. And, even though several of my questions, you and him kind of started going off, and then you'd have to come back in and get back to my question. It was really hysterical.
But we did.
To be honest.
We circled back
several times. He would be like, oh, so to go back to your question, then you would be like, okay, so we can get back to Taylor's question. So it was pretty funny to kind of watch you guys do that.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to to be able to ask the question like that, but be able to like just bring in different elements of different things and to have the conversations and almost like the story time that we had. It was a lot of fun. It's truly, it's a blast. And, I've only done 2 so far, but like, I couldn't think of a better group of guys to do it with, honestly. And again, I've only done it with 2 of the players. So.
Well, I have a good idea who's going to be the next player that you're going to do it with. I just got to see when I can, get that kind of planned out, just because. But I'm glad. Honestly, I feel like I'm training you a little bit on how to, kind of like talk to these guys. Well, because they're human beings. And that's the thing that I try to get the fans to understand when they hear their stories. These guys are just human beings. They're not superstars. They're hockey players that go out there and play a game because they love it. But when you go to talk to them, talking to them like a human being, like your next door neighbor, if you like your next door neighbor, talking to them like, being polite at a grocery store. These are all things that you just need to do and understand. Now, asking for autographs and pictures and stuff like that after the game's totally, totally cool. You run into one of these guys, like, say hello, but make sure you give them their space because they are just regular people. And I think, Taylor, you're finding that out, like, with just those 2 interviews so far with Scott and Emerson. These are guys that kind of live lives. I mean, they were Emerson afterwards was going out to lunch with a few of the boys, and they're just going to go eat a meal, and that's it, and just hang out and chill and talk. To me, I'm hoping that some of these interviews kind of show that side of them sometimes. I really hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And even, to kind of, without giving too much information from the interview, because I know it's in there, just talking to Emery about like some of the stuff that he's done, he actually, after one of the games, went and shared a beer with somebody that you probably never would have guessed he would have. And you and I were both like, well, this is like hockey 101 is like what we're talking about. Like, this is like original, like old style hockey is happening right now. And then, you basically went into story time about it, but it's one of those things where like, when these guys, because we even talked about this a little bit, I'm pretty sure it was in the interview as well, about like, these people are so different on the ice compared to off the ice. And we even like talked about Port Huron. And like, I've seen pictures of Port Huron, they post pictures kind of like the Black Bears do, like if they go to school events and they do functions or, community things that, we see the Black Bears do it all the time. And you always like, Emery's one of those guys that's always in those pictures. If they're doing community things, Emery's always in those pictures.
Yeah.
And I almost talked to him about that today. But we talked about so much stuff, and I didn't want to, lunchtime, you didn't want to take up too much of his time. But, you see these pictures of these guys and even the Port Huron players, like just the pictures of their team that they post, like they look like nice guys off the ice. But when they're on the ice, man, you like hope that Emery goes out and kind of pummels them kind of stuff. But so, yeah, it really is interesting to to get to have these one-on-one conversations when nothing else is going on and you don't really have to worry about anything. And, you can kind of just have these moments to really understand who these people are as a person outside of the hockey ring, or to just kind of get like their own perspective on things. Cause that, to me, that's a huge thing. I mean, something that we talked about with Coach Q, as you did in the interview, is something that like afterwards and thinking about it, I was like, he really like just opened my mind up to understanding more about the game in general. And I think that's a huge concept and such a huge thing to kind of have. And I think that's part of the reason that like, Andreas and Brant really appreciate the work that you do because of this side and because it does open this up to the different things that it does and the different opportunities that the fans kind of get to learn about, everybody involved on the team and in the office type of stuff.
I do thank you very much for that. I do appreciate that. I hope that comes through to the fans, when they do listen to these interviews. The thing that I have to do now, I have to go back and re-listen to the Coach Q interview, because listening to him talk about hockey, he does it on such a high level that it goes above my head sometimes, right? He gets so granular in his conversation. Like high level would be like you and I saying, hey, the power play did good today. It was 3 for 5. The power play to him would be, oh, we did this down this lane. We crossed over here. We had this guy on the bumper position. And he's going through that whole scenario because he understands it like it was the back of his hand. And I have to go back and actually re-listen to the interview with Q, because there were things that he was saying that I want to understand even better than I did even after he explained it to me once. Now I have to go back and listen to it again, because it's interesting to hear him talk about the finer details and hearing how his mind works.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, you had brought up the power play, and even he was like, because you said that you don't have the problem asking the hard questions, because, it's been mentioned, a lot of people have been talking about it, a lot of the fan base has been talking about it, that the power play has been kind of iffy the last, 6-7 games.
Right.
And just to hear him, open up and talk about it, it's not like, it's not one of those things where like he's kind of like, oh well, yeah, we need to fix this and we need to do that, and he's pointing the finger at somebody. It's nothing like that at all. And he really opens it up and like changes your whole perspective on like how the power play is in general. Like it's not just the number you see on the end of the score sheet, and that, oh well, they had 6 chances and didn't score. Well, it's a terrible power play. And he really, he definitely changed my mind on that whole thing in general. Like I look at the power play completely different now because of that interview.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like just the way that he talks about Brant and like the way that you were like, I think you've really calmed him down this year.
Yeah.
And he, really opens up about, talking about like having your emotions in check basically, and taking yourself out of the game helps you see the game a lot better, and just makes it so the more level-headed you are, the easier it is for you to be able to control the game. And I think that's a really important thing. And I think it's shown, like, just how disciplined this team has been. And it's something that you and I have talked about the entire season, is how disciplined they are. And I do think it starts with that. And I think it's been amazing. And the interview, I enjoyed every second of that interview, and I wasn't even the one doing it.
Yeah.
Like I loved listening to every second of it. I mean, there was stuff that he was saying that I didn't understand because I just don't understand hockey that much. Like I don't know all the ins and outs of hockey, but the way that he talks about it, I'm able to understand, if that makes sense.
No, I absolutely do think that makes a lot of sense. And there are things that he said on a granular level. In other words, he's talking about places on the ice, positions, and what they're supposed to be doing in a moment. And he does it in such a way where I need to go back and I need to, what I'd love to do? I'd love to be able to sit in on a video session with him and coach just to see how they break certain things down. So when I'm up at the top in the press box, looking down on the ice and seeing what they're talking about in the video room and then seeing it actually on the ice in slow motion, because that's the reason why I like to sit up in the press box, is I like to see the game slow down. I would love to actually sit in on, and if they're listening to this portion of the show, I hope they take me seriously here. I'd love to sit in on a video session and just watch them kind of go through things, because it would be very interesting to me. And I think I would learn more about the game if I did sit in on some of those video sessions, which would be pretty cool. It's a great interview. And Taylor, I just want to say this. I think I could have 5 more interviews with Coach Q. There is so much that this guy likes. I mean, he likes to talk. First of all, number one, he likes to talk. He likes to communicate. Number two, I just think there's a lot of knowledge inside of him. And I'm kind of glad he got into coaching, because I think he can teach people. And I think there has been a learning curve for him on how to communicate with other players. And I think there was a learning curve for Brant when bringing in Coach Q that's helped him as well. So I think they've both kind of helped each other. One get maybe a little bit personable, and the other one to check his emotions a little bit. And I think both of those things are important when it comes to being able to coach players at this level, or probably any other level above this.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think you kind of hit it right on the nail with that whole assessment right there between Brant and Q. I think they mesh very well together because of those different aspects. And, we kind of said this at the end. I think we were done recording at this point, but it was funny that we kind of mentioned how, Scotty Ramakers and Coach Q get along so well, and it's because they both talk so much and they both like talking.
Yeah.
And then you and Emery were both kind of like, well, one of them has to stop talking at some point to hear the other one. And it was just funny because Emery's like, yeah, I'm more of a listener and not too much of a talker. But, for that interview, I wouldn't have guessed that. But then again, I never would have guessed that Scotty was such a talker. Like, that's why I like these interviews really do mean so much, because, I look at these as, the hockey players. That's what I see is what they do on the ice. I don't see them much outside of the arena, if I see them at all. And so to kind of have these, actual in-person, because again, we've done the in-person thing twice now, and both Scott and Emery really liked that. And it was a lot of fun. And it gives you a different thing just on who they are, because I've mentioned it many times, and I will probably always keep mentioning it, that I would have thought Gavin Yates was the most interesting man off the ice because of the way that he acts on the ice. And everyone's like, no, he's quiet. Once he's off the ice, he's just a chill dude. And I never in a million years would have put that together and thought that about Gavin Yates, just because he's so energetic and so passionate on the ice that I never would have thought he's just a calm, collected dude off the ice. Yeah, you know what? Well, that's because he is with Dana, and Dana is the crazy one off the ice. And Dana, if you're listening, I'm not saying anything you don't already know. Right. She is crazy, fun, energetic, out there. I remember the first time I met her. I mean, she came up and gave me just a big old hug. We barely even, I don't even think we talked online yet. And she just knew that I was Bob Howard from the show. And she, gave me a big hug. That's the type of person she is. And I think they complement each other very well because of that. So, all right, let's get moving on. Before we dive into tonight's show, even though we already really just did, let's remind you that the 11x14 poster giveaway is back again this week. Yes, right. We are months now running the poster giveaway, and your response has been absolutely awesome. We totally love it. And yes, we're doing it again on this week's episode. At some point during tonight's show, we're going to drop a secret code phrase. I love it. And I'm just going to say this.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
And yes, we're going to do it again on this episode. So at some point during the show, we are going to drop the secret code phrase, which obviously I just already read. When you hear it, that's your cue. Send it directly to Taylor during on Instant Messenger in Facebook. Wow, Facebook Messenger. That's really what it is. Taylor will be watching the inbox, and if you're the winning message number tonight, you will score an 11x14 Binghamton Black Bears player poster of your choice, ready for pickup at an upcoming home game. Now, we don't have many left in the regular season, but we're probably going to have some in the playoffs, so don't worry about that. So stay locked in. Don't zone out, just like I did, because I can't read. And be ready, because the code phrases could come at any time.
And I just want to throw this one out there as well, because I didn't get a winner last week until Friday morning.
Yeah.
And I made a post about it that I still hadn't had a winner. And a couple of I had a bunch of messages pretty soon after that. I was very shocked by it. And a couple of them said that they didn't message because they didn't think they were going to win. I promise you, just message me on Thursday, because you seriously have a decent chance at winning. It's not like a radio show or anything like that where there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of people trying to message me. It's really not that crazy. You do have a good chance of winning. It's a lot of fun. People really enjoy it, and there's a lot of people that are definitely trying, but it's definitely worth a shot. Just send a message and trust. I keep laughing because of the little hint that you gave there. It's absolutely hysterical. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But
what hint are you talking about?
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
I can't wait to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, I know. All right, so.
All right, Black Bear fans, do us a quick favor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the show. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you're following the podcast and leave us a rating. It's completely free to do. It takes 2 seconds, and it tells Spotify to push the show out to more Binghamton Black Bear fans and more hockey fans just like you. Drop a comment, too. We read them, and we love hearing from you.
Okay, so the Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook, search Power Play Post Show, and become part of our community. Be sure to like, comment, and share our latest episodes with your friends. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. And Taylor, why don't you read the next two?
And coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, Black Bears forward Emerson Emery and associate coach John Quenneville. And then this Sunday on the Power Play Post Show, Cole Parenti, Jerry D'Amigo, and botched 6 more questions with Emerson Emery.
Why is it botched?
Well, because, questions on the fly for one. I thought I said 5, and I read them again. There were 6. So, yeah, it was very,
It's okay.
They're fun questions. They're not questions you have ever heard before, because Emerson has already done the 6 more questions this season.
Yes, so we changed it up.
That was my homework for when practice was going on, was to come up with 6 brand new questions. And I think they were fun. They were interesting. And I hope everybody enjoys them. One of them you would have heard if you listened to the Scott Ramaker's interview.
Yes.
Because that was in there. And this time I didn't mess it up. And
no, you
it was
did.
Great.
You did great. You did awesome. And
I do have to say, though, that you, Emerson, and Scotty all got the wrong answers. And there are fans that will back me up on this. But I'm just saying, you guys, terrible choices is all I got to say.
Okay. We are going to talk about something very serious, okay? It is the return of Connor McAnanama. CMAC returns to the Black Bears after playing 6 games with the Peoria Rivermen. In Peoria, he was 4-2-0 with a 1.41 goals against average and a .953 save percentage, which is very, very impressive. In Binghamton this season, he was 12-2-0 through 14 games, had a 2.48 goals against average and a .902 save percentage. The last game action in Binghamton, in a Binghamton jersey, for CMAC was on January 2nd in Watertown, a 4-3 loss to the Wolves. And I even joked and said, wow, wouldn't it be ironic if his last game with Binghamton, playing for Binghamton, was a loss, and, well, honestly, to Watertown, which he probably has like a 55-1 record against. It appeared from practice on Wednesday that at the moment, the Black Bears have 2 netminders, obviously CMAC and Dominic Tomei. As of our recording, Shantz and Skinner are still listed on the roster, but we are hearing that both or one of them may be leaving for various reasons. could this be the return of possibly Wyatt Friedlander? That'll be very interesting. Could he come back into the picture? And C-Mac has performed so well in the playoffs for the Black Bears for the last 2 seasons. He has a 14-1 record in the playoffs with a 1.65 goals against average, a 947 save percentage, and 4 shutouts. So let's start the discussion on this. Connor coming back, your thoughts?
I think it's awesome. Kind of mentioned that I was talking to Brooks as practice was getting started there. And I even asked him, what the feeling was to kind of have Connor back. And he pretty much said, it's like he never left. He came in, he's still talking the same. He's still, they're goofing around a little bit. We saw, I don't know if you caught on to it, but during practice, he and Weebs,
yes,
he gave Weebs a big old bear hug type of thing. And, it's moments like that where you really can't, you can't make that up. You can't fake that kind of chemistry that you have with the people on your team. And it does feel like he truly never left. It seems like that's the feeling in the locker room as well, is that these guys, they don't hold anything against Connor for going to the SP and, trying it out up there and, doing what he needed to do. So it truly, it's an awesome feeling. It's great to have him back. As I said on the Sunday show, if I was the other team right now, I'd be sweating a little bit. I mean, to face against the Black Bears is one thing, but to face them with the goalie tandem that we have, that's a whole nother animal.
It really is, and no pun intended there, right?
Well, maybe.
Maybe it was intended. I'm going to say something I haven't said yet here on the show, and it's probably because he's only been back for, a few days since Saturday is when you and I found out that he was on his way back. Even though I didn't realize it until later on in the day, but that's a story for another time. I feel bad for him. I think he did everything he needed to do in Peoria to be in Peoria, to be in the SPHL. I think he did everything he needed to do over the last 3 years to get a chance in the ECHL. And what did he do? He rode the bench, and it's unfortunate. I kind of wish he'd gotten one game in on the ECHL level to see how he performed, to give him that chance. Because unfortunately, when the season's over with here in Binghamton, no matter how it ends, whether he's raising the cup for the 3rd time and he was a part of it, it doesn't matter. He won 12 games. He's going to be on the roster. He's going to be the backup. Or he's going to be the starter. Whatever he's going to be, at the end of the day, he starts over. When the summer begins, he's got to start over. He's got to figure out where he's going to go. Does he get a chance in Peoria? Do they get rid of one of those goaltenders because one of them might retire? All that stuff he has to do over again next year. Does he come to Binghamton? Does he not get an invite from Peoria? Does he get an invite from somebody else? And that gets him up to the ECHL next year. Either way, it's almost like he has to start over, and he didn't get that one thing that I think everybody was rooting for, was for him to get that game in at the ECHL level, and he didn't get that. So I'm happy he's back. Trust me. Listen, if Dom falters at all, which at this point he hasn't shown that he hasn't faltered in 3 games now, right? He's got a 3-game shutout streak going, and then plus 35 minutes or something, whatever it is, some crazy number. It's 35 minutes and 50 seconds. So he hasn't faltered, and he's been the best goalie in this league this year. Him and Reed Cooper have been the best goalies. Carter McPhail, maybe a close third. And so, and then you have Connor, who is a 2-time champion, an MVP champion of the playoffs. It's a very interesting conversation to have him back. But I personally, on a personal level, I just kind of feel bad that he had to come back. I kind of wish that he would have won that place in Peoria and they would have just booted one of the other guys. But there's a loyalty thing that's going on in hockey, especially at these levels. We've heard about it in the SPHL from people like Blake Tosto and Cam Servone, that there's a lot of this whole, if you didn't start with us and you come up from the FPHL, you're going to be the first one to go, kind of garbage that happens, instead of a guy who, listen, he has a 1.41 goals against average in the SPHL and a 953 save percentage. That is his playoff numbers from the last 2 years combined here in Binghamton. So I think he earned his position up there. I think he earned a shot in the ECHL. And unfortunately, he didn't get it this year. He got it, but he didn't, if you know what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying, but I guess I kind of view it differently than you. And I'm going to just choke this out to this is the optimistic side of me.
Sure.
As far as the ECHL part, yeah, I do think that did suck. It would have been nice to see him get an actual game out of that.
Yeah.
But as far as like him coming back and the Peoria stint kind of stuff, to me, it's almost poetic in this sense because, you know, we've talked about Peoria, and from what I understand of Peoria, they do have one goalie that is most likely going to retire after this year.
Right. And
Connor did spend a good portion up there, and they like him. They really like him up there. So in my mindset, I don't think he's going to have to start over. You know, I think, you know, he's already got, you know, a good reform up there with the people in Peoria. They like him. He likes the people up there, likes the coaching, all of that stuff. Like everything seems like it's fitting.
Yeah.
So in my mindset, they're riding out their season with their goalies because they know one's retiring. So they're gonna stick it out with him, which is perfectly fine. And then Connor gets to come back here and, you know, have a great chance at that third run and, you know, possibly raise another cup at the end of the season. And then, you know, come next season, maybe he just starts in Peoria and that's where he is. And then, you know, he kind of had that closing chapter here in Binghamton, if that's the case. And I'm not trying to say like he'll never play in Binghamton or he's not coming back. Like I'm not saying that at all because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right, we don't know.
But it would give him that feeling of, well, he had that closure. He did that in Binghamton, and then he went to Peoria.
Yeah,
where like I know a lot of the issues with like the fans kind of missing the players is like we didn't get to say goodbye to Don, and we didn't get to say goodbye to some of these guys like Wyatt or you know of that kind of thing. So for me, it's almost like a poetic type of thing that he came back and now we get to finish out the season with him and have a great playoff run. And it'll be very interesting to kind of see what happens there between him and Dom because again, we always say how happy we are to not be Brant Sherwood. And it's insane, like the amount of things that this man has to do and, you know, to come up with, you know, just lines in general.
Yeah.
But now you have two great goalies and, you know, you got to figure that one out now. But, you know, I'm sure they've already had discussions about it and they know exactly what they're going to do most likely. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but I almost feel like this to me sounds like a better ending. Like if this is truly like his last thing here in Binghamton is to come do this playoff run, you know, have a good chance at raising a cup at the end of it. And then he gets to go to Peoria next season. Like maybe he just starts off in Peoria. I think it seems very fitting in my mind to have it that way.
Well, that's what I would hope. But again, you and I have talked about this. You're the optimist and I'm the realist. And
hey, Coach Q's an optimist too. So I'll stick it out with him.
Yeah. Well, and the realist in me says between now and September of this upcoming year, right? Or this, you know, the beginning of this upcoming preseason for hockey, I worry that things will change in Peoria. And then Connor doesn't get that chance again, and he has to figure something else out and start over at that level to hopefully get to the ECHL level. That's the realist in me. That's the person who's watched this business for a long time. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope he wins the championship here in Binghamton, and then he's playing in the ECHL at some point, at some time next season, whether it be through the SPHL or maybe he gets an ECHL tryout and he goes in there and he impresses somebody. You know, every time a player moves up that I've ever seen in the years of that thing, they have this new level. They just they jack it up a little bit more somehow, some way. They play a little faster. They play a little harder. They shoot a little bit better. For some reason, that I see that happen. And I know goaltenders can do that as well. We have one last discussion, though, we have to talk about. And that is about, do you play Dominic or do you play Connor in the playoffs? And would you consider running with Connor in the playoffs based on his previous record in the playoffs to win the championship?
Am I answering this first?
Well, and let me throw one thing out at you. We're not talking about 7-game or 5-game series where you can have a goaltender go out there and maybe stumble twice and then you throw somebody, you throw your backup in. If you have one bad game, you have to then make a decision. Do I run with that goaltender still, or do I go to the guy who's already won us 2 cups? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's a conversation that needs to happen.
I definitely think you consider the option of running Connor, but at the same time, I think what Dominic has done this season
has been impressive.
Exactly. And it's almost like that feeling that I had when I heard about Connor telling the team to either block the puck so it doesn't get to me or get out of my way. Like that feeling that I felt when he said that. And that's the reason, like, you watched him in those playoff series and it was impressive. Like he wasn't letting anything get to him. And so I definitely understand that, like, Connor McAnanama is a complete animal when it comes to playoffs. And I definitely think it's worth a discussion. But at the other end of that, you said, about a goalie, if he falters at all during any of these games, like, we don't have enough games to really, have time with your goalies like that. But Dominic hasn't faltered for us.
Yeah, I know.
And, with the amount of shutouts he's had and the amount of, you brought it up today in the interview about his shutouts and his 1-goal games. It's been so insane what this kid has done, that I almost would feel silly to be like, oh, well, you guys are either going to split the playoffs or, we're going to just let Connor run it because he got us 2 cups. Then that's not knocking anything that Connor has done. But
I know, but
Dominic,
that's the funny
to
part.
me, has been the goalie of this league. There is no question about that this season. He has been the goalie.
And I brought it up because this is the truth. And this is the hard part about this. Connor was the MVP of the playoffs last year. Connor has won 2 championships. He is 14-1 in the playoffs, right? Then, Taylor, we look at what I was talking about earlier today in the interview that we were doing. Dominic has 7 shutouts this season. He has 8 1-goal games. He's got a 1.88 goals against average, and his save percentage is like .928. It's amazing what he's done. And yet you're handed a gift here, right? Brant Sherwood's handed a gift. You've got the latest and the greatest, the brand new model, right? Right off the showman floor, and it's going to kick ass, right? And then you got the old standby that said, hey, I've already done it for you a couple times, right? And you have to kind of like battle that in your head. Now, chances are, because Brant Sherwood has had Dominic basically in net since day one this year, and it was 1A, 1B, and then Connor left. It's an easy decision. You go with Dominic in the first round of the playoffs, and as long as you get through that perfectly fine, you go with Dominic in the second round of the playoffs. If that goes fine, you start Dominic in the finals. That's exactly how more than likely it's going to go, because he is the hot goalie. He is the guy who's really brought you almost the whole way here, right? Connor does have 12 wins this season for the Binghamton Black Bears. And when you're talking about a 56-game season, that's still a pretty good percentage of the amount of wins that you got with Connor McAnanama, but you go with Dominic. I know I've brought this up. I think it's something that was worth talking about. I think it's important because that's how much respect I have for Connor McAnanama. And I don't want to ever go, I'm throwing away Connor for Dominic. I want to make sure the argument has been there for both goaltenders, because they've both been outstanding, especially at this level of hockey. They've been outstanding. When I first started covering this team and this league, they didn't have goaltenders like this. The defense wasn't playing as well as it is today versus when this team started 5 years ago. It's been impressive. And Connor and Dominic have been such beautiful jewels that Brant Sherwood has brought into this league and brought in and given a chance in pro hockey that they may not have gotten before because they didn't work through Brant Sherwood's system.
Yeah, I definitely think it is something worth talking about. I know that the fans have been extremely excited about the fact that Connor has come back and that he's, back here in a Black Bears jersey. I agree with everything that you're saying. I again, in my mind, I have a feeling that, because the amount of times I've talked to Steve, and I have a feeling that Connor and Steve are probably one and the same with a lot of their stuff.
Right.
So I'm sure that Connor came back and he's like, this is Dominic's. Like, this is his team. I know my spot right now. And I think that's another just thing about this team is that everybody knows the position, the role, whatever they're stepping into is what they have to play for. And they know exactly what they're playing for. And I think that if any other team in this league, I feel like you should start sweating right now. Cause I don't think you have a chance. I truly don't think so. And, we have the last couple games of the regular season coming up, and then, we're into playoffs, and, Dominic has been absolutely stellar the last couple games that he's been in. The video that you got to see today where he said no goals. It's been true. Seriously, no goals. So, it'll be definitely interesting to kind of see what these next 4 games look like as far as like who goes in. Because I feel like that could be a good toss up there.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what these next 4 games look like for them.
Great conversation. I'm glad we had this. It was important with Connor coming back that we talked about this, because he does have the credentials, but so does Dominic now. And I think you go that way. All right, Taylor, go ahead. Lead us into our first interview.
So coming up next on the Power Play Post Show is the interview with Emerson Emery, where he kind of got both Bobby and I going back and forth on questions, and that'll be coming up right next on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited. We're here at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. I'm here with Taylor. Taylor, who are we with?
We're here with Emerson Emery.
Emerson, how's it going?
It's going great. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited to...
Yeah, we're doing it up here in the press
box.
box.
This is cool. This
Not
is
over
cool
the phone.
In person. Yeah, it's nice.
Scotty actually really enjoyed that it was in person. We kind of had this whole back and forth banter the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes for a different feel.
Yeah. How's the season going?
It's going great. Can't really complain about anything. I mean, we're having another stellar year. It seems to be the standard here in Binghamton to win a lot more than to lose, and just having fun along the way. So it's been great.
Does the team feel different this year, like in any way? Because I mean, we were just talking with Coach Q, so that's a little bit of a different influence on the team. Mac Jansen's here, and CJ's in his first full season, even though he played most of last season. Does the team feel different to you at all?
Well, I think the only really difference. So Q coming in is definitely a difference. He brings that NHL kind of experience that, to work hard every day, and he's instilled some good things. But I think we're a little bit of an older group, I think, than last year with, like you said, Sargis coming in and Mac Jansen and Stubbs having another year here.
Bondo's been around.
Been around
the SPH for a long time.
Forever, yeah. So just some more veteran presence, but a lot of the same, a lot of the same culture. Just bringing in older guys, and I think it's been successful, and it shows with our record and how we've been playing. So,
going into this upcoming Friday's game against the Port Huron Prowlers, I know that everything's clinched up, right? All the points are needed that you guys need. Yeah, I still feel like Friday is a must-win kind of game. Is that how you guys are feeling about it a little bit as well? Because you don't want to give them any confidence going into the playoffs, right?
Right. Yeah. Like you said, all the points are kind of secure. We're not going to move any spots. So, from the outside looking in, you might think that's, a throwaway game, but we very much take that as a playoff game, as a tune-up game to set the tone for playoffs if we are to meet once again. And really just worried about ourselves and making sure we are playing our playoff style of game leading up to when playoffs start in 2-3 weeks here.
So I know that you've already been on the show for this season, and you kind of talked about how you went pretty much the whole off season being ready for playing defense, and that's kind of what you were ready to do, and you came in fully ready to be on the defense side because last season you started as a forward and then got shuffled back there. Was that kind of like a hard transition for you because you've been on the forwards the entire season and as a 10th forward or in the lineup anywhere? Is that something that was hard for you to kind of come into, or was that something that was like they had a conversation? Like, how did you becoming the 10th forward, or how did that role like come in to fit for you?
Well, I think it wasn't necessarily hard for me to go back to forward. Like I think that's definitely my most comfortable position, so that was almost easier to go back to forward. But just being the 10th forward for the most part, like I really just enjoy the I guess antics of the game, if you will. So I learned from one of the best too, Josh Fletcher last year. Right. So I try to bring that kind of antics, some energy, physicality, and that's always been my game, whether it was from youth to college. Like I was always physical, always trying to yap and just, getting other teams' skin. So I enjoy any role really.
Do you consider you or Josh Fletcher or Jacob Shankar anywhere to the level of an enforcer that, Mathieu Boulard was? Because Mathieu, I think people looked at him and said, great defenseman, but also the enforcer on the Black Bears. I never really looked at, and this is no disrespect to Boulard, I never looked at the rest of you guys as enforcers because you guys have so many other skill sets that maybe he doesn't necessarily have. He's a big boy who can play good defense and drop the gloves with anybody basically out there in the ECHL right now. Okay. So do you guys consider yourselves mini enforcers compared to him, or is the role different?
Yeah. So I never had the pleasure to play with Mathieu. No. I heard, some stories and I've seen some of his fights and stuff, but I think it's a little different with us and with Fletcher last year. Like we try to, play well as to, contribute offensively if we can, and really just make sure we play sound defense, but also, drop the gloves when we have to. And even though it's not as common for fights to happen in the playoffs, still having that presence out there is important, and having that physical presence and protecting some of our top guys, or scorers, or MVP candidates. So
there's a few.
Different. Yeah, there's definitely a few.
Because I've been thinking about this for a while. I know CJ Stubbs is really good, and I know he's probably the best player in the league. Yeah. I know Tyler Barrow from the Columbus River Dragons, who you guys didn't play against this year, he's got the numbers on CJ. But I'm also thinking maybe Dominic Tomei could be the MVP of this league this year. 7 shutouts, 8 one-goal games this season. Some of you guys probably didn't know that until I said it last week on the show. That's pretty impressive. Maybe we got 2 MVP candidates on this team.
That's a very good point because, like you said, Dominic Tomei is it tied for the record?
He's tied for the record?
The shutout record.
Yeah, the shutout record with 7, but then still 8 one-goal games. That's pretty impressive. Yeah,
it's incredible. I'd say both of them can be, very much worthy of the MVP. It's fun to see CJ and Dom play every night. Like some of the best players I've ever played with in both positions. So it's fun to see. I think they both deserve it. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out in the end.
Kind of jumping back to, talking about knowing like the enforcer role type of thing. Do you prepare differently for different opponents or different games? Kind of like this Friday, for example, going against Port Huron per se, they're pretty chippy. They're very physical. They're very much trying to
violent, I think is the word that we've heard from people.
They're trying to, either hurt somebody or put somebody in the penalty box type of thing compared to like facing Twin City, who is more just, they go out there and play hockey more. So do you prepare differently for those games? Like, do you know, like kind of going into it beforehand, like you might have to drop the gloves, or you're going to, or do you do anything to prepare mentally or even physically for different games?
No, that's a great question. I try to prepare the same for every game, and try to bring the same kind of energy and physicality. But I do try to, especially in warm-ups or sometimes before the game, I'll try to think of who, might be an opponent to fight each game. But that's kind of for every team. But I try to bring the same kind of preparation and energy for each team because like I mentioned earlier about us, trying to worry about ourselves mainly, like I try to just think about my game and how I can help our team. So, but I definitely keep an eye on who might be an opponent that night.
And kind of going on that note, I was told that I had to ask you this question because my boyfriend is very obsessed with the fights and the games and stuff, and usually gets very excited when you drop the gloves. And he wants to know, who is your most memorable fight?
Wow, that's a good question.
Now, you haven't had a ton of fights. You've
Not a
had
ton.
Fun. You said you've had some.
Yeah.
But you haven't had a ton of fights because this season the Black Bears haven't needed to necessarily. Right. But yeah,
well, even last season, like he was saying, you had Josh Fletcher, who was like, that's so funny that he mentioned it because I was going to actually compare him to Josh Fletcher because they very much kind of like give you that same feeling because Josh is always smiley, he's always like, but he's really willing to just drop the gloves, and I feel like I get the same energy from Emery, and it's always kind of fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, so your most memorable
fight, man. I would say my fight against Athens. Earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I think it was Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it was most memorable because I was already out there for like a minute or 45 seconds before that, which is a long shift.
For you.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
I'm kidding.
It's true. It's true. It's funny. It's I love it though. But, so it was a long shift, and then it kind of was just coming together along the boards. After, I think we were battling a little bit, shifts prior, but so it was a minute shift or so, and then the fight lasted probably at least 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And I just remember it was a good fight. I got some shots in. I think he got, a few or whatever. But I just remember going to the locker room because it was towards the end of the period, and I was just gassed. Like I couldn't even breathe.
Not amped up like,
I could barely walk because I was just completely gassed. And I remember sitting in the box at the start of the next period. I was still gassed. I couldn't breathe. It was so.
I don't mean to laugh, but I'm surprised because I would think you'd get more amped up, like because it's a fight.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of you.
Okay.
More than that.
More than we would know. Obviously. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Sometimes after a fight, like my neck and back is sore for days just from the yanking.
Well, I know about recovery time. I know recovery time is a real thing when it comes to athletes, hockey players, baseball players, basketball players, football players. There's always a recovery time, and it's different levels, for different sports and whatnot. For you, if you play 2 full games and you're third line one game, 10 forward the other game, how much recovery time do you need before you're feeling better once you get to practice?
I do notice sometimes, like if it's a 10th forward game, and then the next night I play third line, it's a lot different wind-wise.
Yeah.
That's why I try to keep up during the week and work myself to be ready for the nights that I have a little more ice time. But yeah, it definitely like a night that I'm on third line playing just about every shift versus 10th forward where I'll get some nights it'll be like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's way different recovery time. Like I feel way better the next day, obviously, if I'm only out there a couple minutes versus playing 8, 10 minutes a night.
So let me ask you this to kind of piggyback on that. When you're on the bench and you're the 10 forward, what are you doing? Are you pumping up the guys? Are you yelling at the guys? Are you listening to Q and Schurzy? What are you doing as the 10 forward?
Chirping the other bench?
Chirping the other bench? Yeah, well, that's happened.
Yeah, I try to be pretty vocal. I try nothing too crazy. I just try to, say if there's a good play or somebody's working hard or whatever, I'll try to, give them stick taps or just, say something like during the play, like just to have some energy.
Right.
And then, I'll try to chirp the other guys on the other team once in a while. Like if they're skating by, I'll,
Reggie
yell
Millette?
something.
Would you chirp Reggie?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. I'll still You know?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, he's
Have a favorite two chirp? Like, is there somebody where you really just want to get under their skin, or
probably
man,
Reggie.
There's a few guys,
or even
around
like
the league.
just a team in general, and maybe not even a specific person, maybe just a whole team there.
Yeah, I mean the games against Port Huron, a lot of the fans, they'll say it's violent and maybe say that they're doing bad stuff or whatever, but those are my favorite games. I love those games. So yeah. So
why?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Bobby's the one that calls them violent. And
I do, because there's a difference between playing physical, which I can see Coachman's team up in Watertown plays physical. But there's a difference between that physical and physicality and the violence that Port Huron and what Danbury used to do about 3 years ago, which you weren't in the league for.
Yeah.
When Daniel Amesbury was here. Daniel Amesbury would go and hit somebody into the boards and follow through with his arms, knowing that it was going to do the most physical damage to the player. Had nothing to do with the play. Right. And that's the problem that I have with violent type of play. Port Huron can sometimes get into the muck like that and then try to draw you guys into it. But I love the fact that you kind of love those games against them.
Right. Yeah. You never want to intentionally hurt somebody. I mean, I'm sure there's some players out there on any team around the league that do that and are looking for that. But it's weird. It's a difference between inflicting some pain and hurting somebody. If you get my drift, no,
I do because I remember as a kid playing youth, and we weren't supposed to really check people, but we did because we wanted to still kind of put some pain on the other team.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It was something that was coached to us, even when I was in 10th grade. And I was told, listen, put body on body because any little contact is going to, put some pain on there.
Yeah.
But I think, in some cases, when we talk about Port Huron, the reason why I call them violent is because there are times when they go a little too far. We've even seen it against the Black Bears this year where it's gone a little too far. You've been on the ice when it's gone a little bit too far. Not that you did anything wrong,
right? But
it's just the way it is. There is a difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And, heat of the moment, it's all love off the ice, but it's...
I cannot see Reggie Millette having lunch with you guys off the ice.
I've heard he's a good guy off the ice.
Okay, all right. I
guess you never
know. Sometimes I see pictures like their page will post pictures of them doing stuff outside of hockey, and I'm like, oh, they actually look like decent human beings when they're not on the ice.
Yeah, it's like you go to war, and then actually the fight I had in Athens with Garcia, I had a beer with him after the game.
That's hysterical.
I swear to God,
really?
After Saturday night, yeah.
That sounds like old hockey right there, where they.
Yeah.
No, let me tell you a story. All right, so there was a fighter here for the Binghamton Senators named Dennis Bonvie. Right now, he's a scout. He's a scout. Okay. Oh, yeah. Just go to Google Dennis Bonvie fight videos, and you'll see a ton of them, right? He helped train Brian McGrattan. And, so either way. So Bonvie was in a fight with a guy named Rob Skurlak from the Albany River Rats, okay? Old team. I know you're too young to remember that. But he got sucker punched twice by Skurlak. And I was sitting in 19. This is before I was ever a media member, all right? And I was sitting in section 19, and I'm yelling down at Skurlak. He's taking off his gear. He wanted to come up and kick my ass. Now, there was a black security guard that was bigger than a goddamn bus that used to hang out down there. He's a really super, super nice guy. Saved my life easily, probably more than once.
Yeah.
He kept Skurlak from coming up and grabbing me, right? Well, there was a bar across the street from here at one point, and I walked into the bar. Who's having drinks with each other? Skurlak and Bonvie. Just having drinks, right? Because Albany was going to play the next night here. It was two games here in Binghamton, and I walk into the bar. Skurlak looks at me and goes, "That's the guy," right? And he was telling Bonvie about the actual, incident and everything. And he calls me over, and I'm like, I'm not fucking going over there. No way. Go over there. He buys me a beer, and it was all good afterwards.
That's right.
It's kind of crazy how that is, right?
Yeah. It's one of the beautiful things of our game. So
it really is. It's a small world. Okay.
So kind of keeping on that note, do you guys practice fighting? Do you train to fight? Like, how does, because I know at one point when Amesbury was still a Danbury, was just kind of hanging out in Danbury, whenever they brought the college guys in, they actually posted videos of them fighting.
Yeah.
And then the one college kid, the next day, he had a black eye. And I'm like,
I remember that.
They really practice fighting that seriously. Is that something you guys do? Because I know.
I don't think I've seen it here.
Well, even because like my favorite moment was from last Friday's game where Jesse and I don't remember who it was were going at it, and he actually pulled the Danbury guy away from Jesse, and then 5 seconds later they fought anyways.
Yeah, the next shift, I remember that because I actually got off the ice for my next, or somebody else, the other line was going out, and then that's when the fight happened. I hate when I'm not on the ice when scrums happen. But
it's okay that Jesse.
that was great. Yeah,
you know, because Jesse's not a bad
he
fighter.
was so
no, he's he's.
And what I've said multiple times is Jesse's a quiet guy he's a quiet guy off the ice, quiet guy on the ice. But then when you piss him off on the ice,
yeah, he has a switch.
He has a switch. He turns it on, and he becomes a freaking killer.
Yeah,
you're right. Am I wrong?
I agree.
But the fighting, how does that get practiced?
Yeah, back to your question.
Yeah,
sorry.
You're fine.
It's not too often, honestly. Once in a while, but when the college guys this year did come in, I remember it was actually, I think it was the week after, right after I had my last fight in Indiana.
Okay.
So some of them were asking me, and Holy has some experience from junior in fighting. He's a big boy, so he was showing some.
He had to stick up for Shankar apparently back when Shankar was his captain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
sense.
sense.
You know that?
No, I didn't.
No, yeah.
I know they played together, but I didn't know.
Shankar was the captain, and the joke is that he had to stick up for Shankar because he yapped his mouth a little too much.
Okay. Yeah,
I may have
that.
overheard that story that he was talking to his dad about it outside of Watertown, and
Okay.
now his dad picks on me.
Nice. Yeah, it's not too often, but once in a while we'll should just touch on some grappling stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's important to get your grip.
Because I haven't seen you guys do that when I've been at practice, so I got to get to practice.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago we did it with some of the college guys.
Nice.
Is it more important to get the takedown or to land an actual hit? Or does that maybe it depends on the fight?
That's a good question.
I'm going to say that's a good question. Yeah, I'd like to know what is it because I know
the fans, it's all about the takedown usually.
Yeah,
if you can get a really good punch in there, it usually hypes them up. But usually it's the takedown that gets the fans excited.
All right.
So
Well, let me ask you this: Shazurkin got we'll talk about Shazurkin and Markstrom, right?
Yes.
He fought Jacob Markstrom, and let's talk about that. Your assessment of that fight, because he definitely got 3 or 4 really good punches in. I think it was about 50 or 60% into the fight. He's like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But then he also got the takedown. What do you give me your assessment of that fight?
Yeah, I think that was one of the better goalie fights we've seen in a while because both of them got some punches in. But I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I think Shesterkin won that one. Mm-hmm. It looked like he got, like you said, those few shots, those little short rights. It looked like Markstrom was a little bloody, but maybe I missed that. I don't know, but he did get the takedown. I think Shesterkin won that fight.
Nice.
So
we won something this year.
For once.
Holy shit. The New York Rangers have won something this year. We won a fight.
It's funny. Shesterkin's kind of a smaller guy, but he's got a little fire too. Another guy with switch because he gets angry, if team's not playing well or.
So back to what Taylor asked. Is the punches more important or is the takedown more important?
I was just thinking it's funny. The takedown's very important for the fans. Like if the fight is to get some momentum in the building and to get some energy, then yes, the takedown's very important. Mm-hmm. But I think between the players, whoever lands the more shots, if I get hit in the face 3 times and I don't land any, but I take him down, between the players,
right?
The guy who landed the most punches wins between the players,
right?
But if you need energy in the building, you got to land something and take them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so 4 games left for the Black Bears, right? You guys got Port Huron. I'm saying it's a must-win because I don't want to give those guys any confidence going into the playoffs. The other 3 games, not a big deal. But I'm also a New York Yankees fan. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I hate when they let off the gas before going into the playoffs. Has that even come up of we're going to relax and let a couple guys rest? Because I hate that mindset. Is that something that has been even discussed or thought about going into these last 4 games?
No, really not at all. We want to be at our top game going into the playoffs for sure. There's been some nights where, you know, 1 or 2 guys will have the night off.
For the college kids to get a couple games
exactly.
in, yes.
But for the most part, it's really just ramping up our game and being ready for that style of play for when playoffs come, because Sherwood actually touched on it the other day about like the physicality.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just flip a switch first game of playoffs and say, oh, we're going to be physical now.
Right.
You got to kind of have it baked in already.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, you know, we've been playing playoff hockey for, you know, definitely last weekend and moving forward.
Kind of touching on that note about like physicality and stuff, and it's something that we just talked about Q with, and how hard him and Brant have, you know, trained themselves throughout the season, their workouts and everything. They haven't missed a week type of thing. And I've kind of been sitting here thinking about it and just looking at the other coaches for the other teams. I would go out and say there's nobody that could compare to the level of physicalness that they have done this season. Is that something that's important to you guys? Because you're obviously looking up to them as coaches, that they can literally go out there and play with you, and actually, you know, this is who you're learning from, and this is what they're doing with their bodies during the season.
By the way, Q says that he would destroy everybody on the ice out there, everybody, like in this league.
I guess I heard something. I didn't know that he played in the NHL, so I guess that makes sense. I didn't know that.
So did D'Amigo. Do you think D'Amigo, I mean, he was on the ice with you guys yesterday.
Yeah.
Could D'Amigo still skate with you guys and be productive on the Black Bears if you guys fit him in somewhere?
I think so. Yeah, 100%.
Wow. Yeah. And he's going to go into the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's exciting. Congrats to him. That's amazing. But
you
I
guys
heard John Brown isn't happy about, but
I'm
why?
sure
John Brown wants to be in?
I'm sure he'll get his.
no, because he's the one that said that Jerry doesn't deserve it because he never played in Binghamton as on a Binghamton.
I didn't think we were going to bring that up. I might have to cut that part out. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I mean, that's John Brown's opinion. I mean, I think listen, there's 2 guys that are in the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame that are hockey players that didn't play for Binghamton at all. And that's Mike Dunham, goaltender for the New York Islanders at one point, and of course, you know, Jerry. And but they're part of our culture here in Binghamton, our hockey culture, our hockey family. So I think John Brown is kind of wrong on that. I mean, I get where he's coming from, but you know, all right, let's go back.
Yeah, who knows? He might have just been busting Jerry too. So
I don't know. It's John Brown. I can't tell if he's serious or not serious sometimes.
Yeah, he's one of a kind. But
So okay, again, these last 4 games.
yeah.
You know, we got to get the college kids in a couple more times, right? If you sit out one of the games, what are you doing as a player when you're watching?
I mean, I'm just looking at, you know, stuff that may work or stuff that doesn't work. Like if they're, you know, a certain forecheck is coming in from their team, like what are the open spots to break out?
Can you take that down into the locker room and talk to people in intermissions, or bring it to Coach Q or Coach Sherwood, you know, after the game and say, hey, this is what I noticed. I saw. Are they kind of responsive to those kind of suggestions or observations?
Usually when you know, aren't playing that night, like you kind of just let, you know, stay away until after the game. Mm-hmm. But definitely, like if you're playing like in the game and you notice, you know, say they're doing a certain forecheck and the middle is open or the wall is open, like you tell, you know, what you see and hopefully it can help the team.
Cool. Taylor, you got anything else?
No, that's all I got.
Awesome. Emery, let's hope for another long run in the playoffs.
Yes, certainly.
Would you like that?
I would love that.
Yeah. Raise another cup.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Put another banner up
I'd
there.
enjoy that.
Yeah. Where do you keep the ring from last year?
It is actually home in New Jersey right now, staying safe. Yeah.
At your parents' house.
Yes, because I did that as soon as I got it because I didn't want to
lose it.
Well, I didn't want to. Like, it's a new season. We're going for a new.
Yeah. So you put the.
Is it kind of like a superstition thing for you?
I don't know. I guess it's just in the past. Even though.
All right. Do you believe in superstitions? We got to go into this conversation now that she brought it up.
I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious, I'd say.
What does that mean? Give me
You ever see The Office?
No, I don't watch The Office. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm horrible at those sitcoms that everybody loves, except for like Seinfeld. I know Seinfeld.
Yeah, that's
jokes.
a good one.
Yeah, I could give you a lot of Seinfeld jokes. All right, so what kind of superstitions do you have? Superstitious.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell that means now.
It's weird. I'm not like too superstitious, honestly, but I always put my right, I dress my right side first and then my left. Like I'll put my right ski, then my left ski.
I do that because I'm right-handed, though.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't think that's a superstitious thing for me, though.
I do a certain thing with the smelling salts before the game. But,
whoa, you use the smelling salts?
Yeah, before each period and before the game.
Or after a fight?
I don't know where I am half the time after a fight. Just laying it all on the line. But no, I'll do a little thing with the smelling salts, and then before the game, I listen to the same song right before I
which song
get dressed. I'm a big metal fan.
Yeah,
so like
metal.
It's
well, your dad has the long hair, so I kind of
he's more of a hippie kind of long hair. But I enjoy the metal, but it's Diamond by Stick to Your Guns. But,
okay. All right. I'm going to look it up. Stick to Your Guns, Diamond.
Yeah. I saw them live a few years ago. So they're one of my bands. But
all right. Emerson, Eminem, whatever the hell we call you. I'm not sure. I always call you just M. But thank you very much for coming back on the show. We really appreciate it. I know you guys got a lunch that you guys want to go do, and everybody's waiting for you down there. And D-Raz is probably pissed off. That's okay.
That's all right.
It's okay, D. It's all right. It's all right. I'll get him back here on the show here soon. But thank you very much for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. All right, so hopefully you're paying attention. I told you guys needed to pay attention because, Taylor, it is time for the 11x14 player poster giveaway. Please tell the fans this week's special code phrase.
It is superstitious.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
All right. So, okay, fans, if you're the 14th person to message Taylor with the special code phrase superstitious, you will win an 11x14 player poster of your choice. The winner gets to choose from any current Black Bears player, and we will deliver the poster at an upcoming home game. Send in that special code phrase, and thank you for listening to the Power Play Post Show. One more time.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
That code phrase is superstitious. So,
which, by the way,
yes.
Just for Emery, I did send Bobby the clip from The Office that has that little that you just heard, because he said he's never watched The Office.
I haven't.
The interview goes on. So, I was looking out for Emery there, and I sent that in for you, and you thought it was great, obviously.
I did. It's actually kind of funny. I like Steve Carell a lot. Steve Carell has been in a lot of funny stuff and a lot of shows or movies that I've watched. I know who Steve Carell is. I just never watched The Office. And so I never heard this.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Stitious.
I'm gonna say the look on your face when he said that was priceless, by the way. It was so great. It was so much fun.
Because I was so confused. I had no idea what he was talking about. And then he said The Office. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't watched that. It's like I know Seinfeld references. I could give you Seinfeld references all day long, but I definitely could not do that with The Office. But I think that's the age difference between him and I, because, Seinfeld was more when I was his age. Seinfeld was really big. So, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think I'm about the same age. I think actually Jeremy's about the same age as Emery.
Yeah.
I think they're
it really bothers me that you guys are still the same age as the players that are playing, and I'm not anymore, even though a long time ago I was. And so that's been way too long since then. Either way, coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show, we're going to get you over to our other interview, this time with associate coach John Quenneville. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
You're listening to the Power Play Post Show. Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. We are here at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. I'm sitting here with associate head coach of the Binghamton Black Bears. He is John Quenneville. John, welcome back to the show. It's great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
All right, so we're only a couple weeks out from the playoffs. Last night, Athens beat Monroe. Okay, so that's already taken care of. The point that you guys needed, so to speak, is already taken care of. What's on tap for these last 4 games of the regular season?
I think just get ourselves as dialed in as we can on the habits, on the details, and, you work all year long to, there's different phases as the season goes on, right? At the start of the year, you're trying to, get in shape, then you're trying to formulate, a system within what you have with the group of players that we've brought in. And then as time goes on, you try to develop, those systems within the team game. You tweak things as the year goes along. And then by the time we get to here, I think all that stuff is pretty well done and known. And then I think it's just a matter of, like I said, dialing in the finer details of the game, habits and details, which is, other than competing and playing as hard as you can, that's probably the most important thing. So it's crunch time as far as those things go, and that's what we're going to look to focus on the next few weeks.
3 of the 4 games are to non-playoff teams, right? We could say Danbury's out probably because Topeka's probably going to be it. Topeka could be your guys' first round matchup, more than likely at this point, but still got to play the games on the ice. Talk a little bit about how important Friday night's game is going to be against the Port Huron Prowlers, because they are a playoff team.
Yeah, it's super important. Every time we have a game against them, it's usually tight, usually
physical,
a lot of commotion, and it obviously emulates playoff hockey quite a bit. So every time we play Port Huron, it kind of feels like a playoff game, and it's it's nice to have one more against them before we start get things going.
I'll say it so you don't have to, or I'll ask the question in this way so you don't have to say it. How do you keep your guys out of the shit, so to speak, as we like to call it in the hockey world when it comes to Port Huron, because they do like to draw people into that kind of play?
Yeah, it's hard. I was a hockey player, so I know what it's like. It's obviously such an emotional game. It's a physical game, and it's really hard to, keep your discipline in check.
Right.
And, we need to focus on playing our game and worrying about the things that help us be good as a team, and not getting into the garbage, as you said, with them. Yeah. And I think that's part of their plan. I think that's, it works pretty well for them, actually. They do a good job of getting under our skin and creating some havoc and, getting us a little bit frustrated with the way they play and kind of dragging things on after the whistle and taking liberties on guys sometimes. So for us, it's just about focusing on our game and focusing on just, having good discipline, staying out of the box. It's all about whistle-to-whistle hockey. You know, when the whistle goes, it's over. Skate back to your bench. Get out of there quickly. Don't get involved in anything, you don't need to get involved in. Obviously, things are going to happen. If somebody punches you in the face and gives you a face wash, how are you going to react? You're not going to skate away. It's impossible to do that. We're all human anyways, you know? So you got to manage it the best you can and, you know, try to come out on the better side of it. There's always going to be usually, you know, someone who's just a little bit more aggressive in scrums and somebody who's pushing the envelope a little bit more than the other guy. And, you know, we're not going to take any abuse, but at the same time, I've been face washed countless times and punched in the mouth countless times. It's not that bad. So
just take it and kind of skate away, especially if it draws a penalty.
And draw a penalty. And, you know, at the end of the day, our power play is fantastic. And, you know, if they want to get into that and they want to start, you know, having a parade to the box as they usually do, then I'm all for it. It'll be fantastic for us.
Do you guys have the 3 best penalty drawers on this team? And I know who I'm thinking about: Zach Sirota, Tyson Kirkby, and Jacob Shankar. Are those the 3 best guys to draw penalties in this league right now?
Yeah, it might be true. So, and they all kind of are a different style of doing that. Sirota seems to get under everybody's skin, and he's just really sticky. You know, it's when you're playing and you got a guy who's, you know, up against you all the time, just kind of annoying you all the time. It's not a good situation to have. No one likes that. And he seems to be on the right side of what I just said, of like getting that last punch in. It seems like the other guy's always getting the last, you know, whatever it is, push, shove, punch in on him. And he seems to
smile and just skate away.
And it seems that, you know, I don't know if it's his stature or, you know, maybe the way he goes down, but somehow he seems to come out on the right side of it often. And then with Shanks is just playing hard. I mean, he's done such a nice job for us in being physical and finishing checks and playing with pace. And, like, that's going to be really annoying. When you hunt the puck and you're all over the puck, you're finishing your checks, you're in guys' face all the time, you know, you're putting the D up against the wall. It's going to be very annoying for the other team. And I think that's kind of the situation Shanks finds himself in. And they seem to take retaliatory penalties against him after the whistle because they're just annoyed with him, his style of play, and him playing hard all the time. So he does a really good job with that. And then Kirk's is all down low, right? It's below the hash marks, you know, being in front of the goalie. That's where it's going to mostly happen for Kirk's, is they're trying to box him out. He's a big body. They can't box him out. And eventually, you know, if we get a long shift going down low and the guys get going on the cycle pretty well, then, you know, they're going to try to box him out for quite a bit of time. And that gets really hard to do. You get tired and you end up taking a penalty sometimes.
When Coach Kurt Kleinendorf was here coaching the Binghamton Senators, he had a player named Mark Borowiecki. I don't know if you remember Mark.
I played against him when I was against him. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things he said about Mark all the time when he was here in the AHL was that he wanted him to get to the edge but not cross over, right? Because he could play up there. Not everybody can play to that edge and not cross over, and that's what he was trying to teach him. Is there a guy on this team, and maybe we've already talked about him with those 3 that we just talked about, is there a guy that plays to that edge but doesn't always cross over? Because that's probably one of the hardest things to do in hockey, right?
It is hard, right? And it's a hard job to be that guy. It's hard to be that physical player. It's hard to be finishing checks all the time, and it takes a toll on your body, and it's, you know, very tiring as well. People don't realize how tiring it is to finish checks all the time. And that's probably why, you know, there's a lot of teams that get into bad habits of not doing it, because it's obviously easier not to. So, you know, I'll probably say Shanks or Sirotz. I mean, Sirotz seems to come out on the right side of it all the time. And it's a pretty tough skill to have. I don't feel like he gets engaged too much in the extracurricular after the whistles.
Right.
That probably plays a big part in it.
Yeah, because he's smirking and skating off, like I said before. Let's talk about something very serious. I hate to bring this up, but the power play in the last 6 or 7 games, moving the puck well, keeping in the zone, not taking maybe the best shots, or what do you think is happening on the power play that in the last 6 or 7 games we're not seeing as much productivity? Although, as of, you know, I want to make this perfectly clear. Getting in the zone, moving the puck really well, it almost seems like either the timing or the placement of shots has not been the best. What's your vision? What do you see?
Yeah, I'm obviously the power play coach. It's my power play, so
that's why I wanted to ask you this.
Yeah, absolutely, you should. And you know what? When you look at the power play, and this isn't just here, this is at every level, every league, every team.
Right.
Special teams in general is a very wavy thing. It comes and goes, and you're going to dip below your percentage, below your percentage, and above your percentage as time goes on.
Right.
And I'm totally aware of that.
Okay.
And I think the goal is on the power play is, you obviously find the group that you like, and you find the looks that you like to have with that group, and you go from there. And I've really liked how we've played, especially the last 3 or 4. I think our looks have been fantastic. I think there's an element of frustration that comes in when you're struggling to score in the power play. But if you look at the last, especially 3-4 games that we've had as many grade A looks as we've had at any of the times when our power play was clicking at its best point.
Okay.
And I think we're obviously struggling a little bit with missing the net. That's a big issue. We're also struggling with scoring, grade A opportunities and hitting the goalie in situations where we have the players that should be scoring in those situations. And I've taken a look at a lot of different things with that, and we actually made a change. I don't know if you noticed we made a change. We previously we had 2 downhill players on our power play, which downhill means you're coming down on your forehand side. So before we had, for majority of the year, we were running on our power play is 2 downhill players. So they're playing strong sides, and they're getting up and they're getting down together, kind of matching speed. And then attacking on their forehands, taking wrist shots, and then it gives them the opportunity to see a lot of ice. When you come downhill, you can see a lot of ice. Like the McDavid does it, Austin Matthews does it. A lot of these players do this, where they come up, they get it from the D high in the zone, and then they're able to attack what we call downhill, and they're able to see the whole ice on their forehand side. I actually made a change going into last weekend, and we moved Bondo out of the downhill on the left side and moved Janny into the one-timer spot. So it changes the power play look a little bit. I think it gives us some quicker developing plays to have Jansen there in the one-time spot. Like, he can set himself up, and we can make some hard plays for him to get a one-time shot on. And then at the same time, we still have Stubbs coming downhill, which creates a lot of time and space for the bumper. He's a righty. We have we have down low to Kirks, or we have into the middle. So we have a lot of different options that I think it's opened up for us. And the past 2 games, I loved it. I really loved our power play. And so I'm really positive about how it went last weekend. Obviously, if you miss the net, you're not going to score. You hit the glass, you're not going to score. Everyone knows that. But I think for me, it's not just about looking at results. Of course it is. It's all about results, but it's more about looking at the process and what does it look like? Are we getting good opportunities? Are we able to get the puck back? When we do hit the pads or the puck does go to the corner, do we know our outs to get ourselves set up again quickly?
Right.
Are our routes good on the power play? Are we giving ourselves time and space? Are we attacking the net and I call it threading the net, and they do it at every level. So threaten the net means basically you look towards the net. When you get the puck with time and space, you look towards the net, and you threat the net as if you're going to shoot. Okay? You probably are. The main idea is to shoot. But when you threat the net, it forces the other team to get in shooting lanes. Okay? It forces the other team to extend themselves to try to get sticks on pucks. Okay, and when that happens, now you just open up more time and space for other guys to make plays.
Right.
So as long as we're doing a good job executing with our passing, getting into the zone well, and then once we're set up, we're getting good looks by threatening the net, attacking the net, and then finding the holes and making the plays, the goals are going to come. And
that's
I'm
why
really happy about that.
And that's why I said I could see that there was good movement with the puck, right? But it was just that in some cases, maybe the goaltender's making a great save. Maybe, we're hitting the wrong part of the goaltender. Not everyone can have a Nick Swain goal go through, trickle in like we saw last Friday and whatnot.
And if you look, Bob, if you look at the last 2 games, we've had looks on our power play from Janny, grade A looks on the one-timer.
Yep.
D-Raz, grade A looks up top with a full lane to walk in and shoot. Stubbsy, downhill, grade A looks to score. Bondo, middle one-timer, bumper one-timer. And then Kirk's down low, back doors, and walks in front of the net. So every single guy on our first power play unit has had grade A looks.
Right.
And that's super encouraging. And,
so then it's,
I think when things are going well,
Yeah.
you don't disrupt things that are going well.
Sure.
And you need to, what goes up must come down, and that's the flow of hockey, and that's the flow of
the ebbs
sports.
and
You got to
flows.
remember, there's another team on the ice, there's a goalie in the net, and there's big time, like you said, ebbs and flows that goes with power play. Like I said, it's the waves of special teams, and that's for every team in every league.
Yeah.
Both penalty kill and power play. They're going to have waves where they dip above their percentage, and they're going to have waves where they dip below their percentage. And that's obviously relative to the team and how good their special teams are, but that's very common. And, if I didn't like the looks, we'd probably change some things around, but I really like the looks, and I'm really encouraged. I was encouraged by it this weekend, and you got to believe and be optimistic and have your glass half full that the goals are going to come.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I want them to come before we get into the playoffs. That would be good.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would want that too.
Yeah.
We're about 4 games away from the end of the season. Which player on the ice have you seen the most progression from the beginning of the season to now? I know that's a tough question because a lot of guys have probably grown underneath you and Brant this year. But I'm just kind of curious, who would you highlight right now if you could? Because I can't go through all 24 guys with you right now.
Right.
It would take us too long.
I can do a few. I think, I'd be remiss to not say Stubbsy.
Really? He's grown.
He's grown so much. He's been fantastic. I mean, he's, in my opinion, he's the best player in the league. He has been the best player in the league. He's been so dominant for us, so consistent for us the whole year. And you can't look past what Stubbsy's done. Obviously, you're probably expecting me to say somebody who's more of a role player, but Stubbs has been fantastic. He's been so good for us all year long. He's produced consistently. And then the thing for me that, people probably don't notice as much is just his habits and details. He's our mark for the habits and details that we want to see out of our team.
Well, because you see him repeating the good habits a lot on the ice. And I've said that many times.
The leadership that way is just fantastic. He's done such a nice job of that. He's got great stick habits. He's got great hunt habits, as I say. He's on the puck all the time. You've seen him on the penalty kill. He's done such a good job on our kill. He's just a great leader in the way that he plays, and the details and habits that he has been fantastic. I'd say him. I'd say D-Raz, another guy who best defenseman in the league in my opinion. But he's improved as the year's gone on. His defensive game has been fantastic. He's there for us in every single situation. Penalty kill, power play, 4-on-4, you name it. He's out there. He has a high compete level. That's my favorite thing probably about D-Raz. He just has a high compete level. He plays to win every single night. We can always count on him. And, if I keep going, you got to say Scotty.
Ramakers, yeah. Well, he loves
Scotty's
you.
Season.
No,
look at Scotty's season that he's had. I mean, no one can argue the season that Scotty's had. Listen, I call him the MVP, the most versatile player. He's played right wing, he's played center, he's played left wing, he's played lefty, he's played right D. Okay, he's played on the power play. He's played on the power play on the top. He's played on the power play downhill. He's played on the power play on the 1T side. He's played in the bumper, and he's played in front of the net. He's played every single position, and when he goes into any of these spots, it's not like he's just doing a neutral job. The power play actually excels. The line actually excels. The D pairing actually excels. So. And his production's been fantastic for a guy who's playing, really second fiddle opportunities the entire season. He's got some maybe, let's say 10, 15 games on the first unit because he's done such a nice job that he's easy to throw in there, plug and play.
When somebody's out,
He doesn't slow the power play down at all. He actually helps the power play excel. So Scotty is, definitely one. And then another guy would be Shanks.
Yeah.
Shanks has improved so much
since
the season started. I feel like at the start of the year, he was trying to find his identity a little bit.
Like a role.
find his role, find
Yeah,
his identity a little bit, figure out who he's going to be as a player out here.
Right.
And I think he's done a fantastic job of getting himself in better shape.
Okay.
And I think that started when he got injured. When he got injured,
He said that to me,
we really
yes.
harped on him trying to get in better shape. With him, I always saw if he was able to play with more pace, more energy, it would just accelerate the kind of game that we wanted to see out of him. It's hunting the puck, being physical, hounding the puck down low in the corners, winning battles, getting up and down the ice fast. That's his game. He's a power forward for us. He stirs it up. He plays hard, and he's improved so much. He scores double the amount of goals he's used to score in practice. His shots improved so much. When he gets an opportunity to score, he's been able to capitalize on it. And for me, like, the improvement in his game has been huge. And he's a guy that, it doesn't matter if he ends up playing 7 minutes or he plays 12 minutes. The last, especially 10 games, he's been just fantastic. Playing with energy, playing with pace. When those guys go over the boards, right, our first line, our second line, they've created so much momentum. We've stayed in the offensive zone for 30, 40 seconds, a minute, whatever. You want to get the waves and rotation going, offensively. And when you got a third line that can go out there and keep that going for us, it's huge. And that's what we need. And Shanks has done a really good job. And
I've said to Coach Sherwood, I feel like he's the most complete player on the team. Like, I see a little bit of everything in him. Is that true? Coming from a guy who played in the NHL, who played in the AHL, high levels in Europe, at this level, does he have the ability to kind of fulfill what I said, which is he could have a complete game?
Yeah, that's kind of what he's worked on. I mean, if you're asking me who the most complete players of the team are, it's Stubbsy and D-Raz. But he's improved in that area so much. He's become so much more reliable, and his entire game has improved. And I think a lot of that has to do with his speed and conditioning and strength, and he's able to play. It's like you go out there for 30, 40 seconds. How it's all about for guys like that, especially, how long can you maintain that fast game? How long can you maintain hunting the puck, having a shift where you're playing, you're reaching max speed all the time and you're not getting tired and you're able to sustain that for long periods of time? That's huge, and that's exactly what he's done. So it's just made him way more reliable, way more trustworthy for me and Schurzy, and he's improved a lot.
Let me ask you this. This will be your first playoffs at this level that you're going to be sitting behind the bench kind of watching. Standing. Sorry. I forget about that. You know what I mean? Well, you used to sit.
That would be weird if we were sitting. I used to sit.
Yeah, you used to sit. But now until at the end of the game, and then a lot of guys would stand anyways. But what are you looking for going into that first playoff series? Is there going to be something that you're going to be looking for? I know you've played in the playoffs before at different levels, but is there something that you're going to be looking for going into the first round of the playoffs from your team?
Yeah, it's just playoffs are the best. It's just the energy. It's the intensity. It's like the attention to detail. Every little play is so important, right? You can't have a lapse in judgment or a lapse in effort for 1 second. You need to... you got to keep your foot on the gas and your brain in it the entire time that you're playing. And that's what's fun about playoff hockey is the margin is usually so small, and you need to, you need to play the right way and have attention to detail constantly to, put the team in the best place and the best opportunity to win. And that's what makes playoffs so fun is like everything is just that much closer, and, the competitiveness goes up that much more. And it's just that, like I said, attention to detail, little things. You're not going to try the same things you might have tried in game 48. You're not going to, you're not going to, play the same way you played in game 15. You're going to give it all you have, and the other team's going to do the exact same thing. So it makes everything closer. The parity gets closer. You're obviously playing better teams. Teams that have earned their way into the playoffs. So, the intensity goes up. It makes everything more fun. That's what sports are all about. That's why sports at every level, when the playoffs come around, it's way more fun because, everything just gets closer, everything gets tighter, and every shift that you have becomes more important. So it's all about jumping over the boards and taking it one shift at a time and just trying to, have the best shift you can, get off the ice, flush the last one, and go for the next one and keep that rolling. You know?
I talked to, on Monday, I think it was. No, it was last night. It was Tuesday night. I talked to Jerry D'Amigo. He's going to go into the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame on Friday night.
Great for Jerry.
Great for Jerry.
Well deserved.
100%. You played against him a little bit, I think, in the minors, in the AHL. I have to ask you, because I asked him, and it was an interesting answer he gave me. I said, one-on-one, John Quenneville against Jerry D'Amigo, who wins? He said you, except for he thinks in the corners he could take you.
Yeah, I think it's me.
Okay.
I think it's me, but you might be right. Jerry is really quick. He's very good, and he's got really good edges. He's able to turn really well in the corner, like cutbacks and stuff in the corner.
Yeah.
He's probably right. He's probably right on that. He's that's probably one of the stronger parts of his game. And not that it's a weak part of my game, but he's really quick in the corners. So that would be one area. The bigger the ice is for a one-on-one with me and Jerry would be better for me.
Oh, better for you. Okay. So you did play against him a little bit, right?
Yeah.
In the AHL? What do you remember other than how quick he was?
Just a really high energy player. He has got good skills and really good skater. That was the main thing with Jerry. Jerry's a good skater. He plays with energy. He's all over the puck. Like I said, very good down low, able to use cutbacks, smart player. Yeah, Jerry was good.
Surprised he came out of Binghamton?
Yeah, I mean,
because we haven't had many come out here, Mike Dunham.
It's just and not throwing any shade at all, but like the minor hockey system would make it very difficult for anyone to make it. So obviously he's very special being able to make it from here.
He did mention to me that one of the things that he wants to do now that he's starting his job with the fire department, started a family, wants to start building the youth hockey program in this area, and I think he wants to start something next year. How important do you think that is? And is there any, could you offer some thoughts or ideas to him to help make it grow and get better as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. Like, I think, I had such a great opportunity to play hockey when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate for my parents, obviously, but just fortunate also to grow up where I grew up in Edmonton and have so much minor hockey and have so many good hockey players around. So, with that, obviously the competition, gets so good. So it elevates all the players that are playing at the highest level. And, we didn't have to go far to play.
Yeah.
We're going across town. We're going to the next part of the city over. They had the city cut up into quadrants or whatever that, filled AAA minor hockey teams. So you didn't have to travel far. You're playing against elite competition all the time. And, that's why you see, hockey players coming out of Edmonton, coming out of Calgary, coming out of Toronto, coming out of Montreal, coming out of Vancouver, coming out of Detroit, coming out of
Minnesota,
Boston, coming out of Minneapolis. There's, it's because, there's more people playing hockey and there's more high level hockey going on. So, you're obviously seeing kids that are playing against other good players and they're able to measure themselves against other good players. And, it's logistically a lot easier for the teams to be able to play against other teams, and not have to travel too much. And but I would love to see, the minor hockey system here grow.
Get better.
And I think with that, it all comes down to coaching.
Yeah.
And it comes down to having people around that know what they're talking about. And
Jerry's a guy that knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
I mean, he helps you guys out. He was here yesterday.
Play the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
There's not much more you can say.
Right.
When you make it to the highest level, you know a lot about hockey. It's not that you're just a really good hockey player. To be able to make it to that level, you got to know a lot about hockey. You got to be a smart hockey player. You got to have a great skill set. You got to be physically good to be able to make it to that level. So, he knows a ton about the game, and he's a perfect guy to be able to spearhead, especially being a local person, somebody who's made it, somebody who's inspiring for kids because he was able to make it to the highest level being from Broome County.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Well, while you're here, you could be a part of that
Absolutely,
process
Bob.
too, which is pretty
Absolutely,
cool.
Bob.
All right, so let me ask you one last question before I let you go. Are you having fun? Did you have fun this season?
I had so much fun this season.
Yeah.
I'm still having so much fun.
Did you bring us any ice cream sandwiches?
I didn't know.
I heard about that.
Oh, you heard about that?
What's the deal with
When
that?
you score 10 goals, I think that's like
You're allowed to have ice cream.
you can have whatever you want. I mean, you scored 10 goals. Are you kidding me? Like 10 double digits goals.
You didn't do that quietly too. People saw you.
They saw me, and I didn't care at all. Listen, Bob,
No, it's great. No, it's great.
I like to eat really well and eat healthy and all that, but
Then celebrate.
no, yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
my favorite thing is ice cream.
Is it really?
It is, yeah.
What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
my favorite kind of ice cream? Me and my wife were huge Cold Stone fans.
Okay.
So I love Cold Stone. I just think they have the best ice cream. It's very creamy ice cream.
Yeah.
It's kind of like original ice cream, like it's very ice cream. The ice cream of the ice creams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Bob?
Yeah.
And there's a few different flavors over there that I like. I kind of do a little bit of a tour. I switch it around every now and again. But no, with the ice cream sandwiches, you put up 10 goals. The guys can have whatever they want,
Now you're going to go down after we're done here, and you're going to exercise with Coach Scherzy. Are you leading the exercise?
I am. I am the, let's call me the head coach of the workout group for the coaches.
Yeah.
I would be the head coach of that group.
Yeah.
Scherzy would be the associate coach. It's just me and him. John Brown also gets in there every now and again.
Now, I always see John Brown in these big jackets and stuff. Is he really, really built? Does he have a good physique? Because I don't ever see him in anything.
Yeah, he's jacked. He's working on it. He's
really?
He's jacked, but he's been really working on it. He's been getting in the gym. I've been trying to get him in there, But for me and Brant, I think, when you stop playing, I think you miss out a little bit on that physical part of working out every day.
There's certain muscles you don't use anymore.
It's not just the muscles.
Okay.
It's what it does to your brain, Bob.
Oh.
When you play hockey all the time, you become a certain person because of, the chemicals that your brain is receiving all the time, right? When you work out, you get tons of endorphins that come through your body, and it's something that's very normal to me because I've been playing for so long. So having working out and staying in shape is super important because it makes me feel the same as I always felt. And I think when you take that away from a lot of athletes, I think you would see a lot of guys that get themselves into. You hear about guys that have struggles when they stop playing.
Sure.
And I think a lot of that has to do with going from exercising so much and then cutting it off completely and, being lazy and not, punishing your body and, trying to help your body move forward all the time and keep yourself in shape. And I think that, it takes a lot away from people's mental state.
Sure.
And I think that's been super important. I'll work out anyways, but it was, a plan for me and Scherzy to get in the gym. And I can say we haven't missed 1 week since the week before training camp. We have not missed 1 week the entire season of doing at least 3 workouts, which is a pull day, which would be back and biceps, a push day, which would be chest, triceps, and shoulders, and then a legs day, which would be full legs. And we train legs like we're playing hockey. We train heavy, we train hard, and it's been fantastic. I think Scherzy has it's improved his life a ton, and I'm glad to be doing it, and we have a lot of fun doing it as well.
When I was in high school, I went to a school that played football. That's what they did.
Sure.
They didn't understand hockey players. I used to go into the weight room, and my legs, I would just crush it, right? And they were like, we don't get it. You can kill us in legs. And I'm like, well, that's because I need that. If I'm going to skate from there to there, I need my legs. I need my core, and I need my legs, right? And they just didn't understand that. And they were like, how can this scrawny little kid do all that? And my legs were nice then, not now. But we got way too serious here at the end. I was trying to do the fun stuff here at the end.
But I will say leg strength has, you could look at multiple studies. Leg strength and maintaining leg muscle has a huge impact on general health.
Wow.
Huge impact.
Wow. All right. I got to get back into
Very
that.
important.
So I have to get back into that.
I got to give kudos to Scherzi. I think at the start, we were in the first couple weeks, he's starting to get like, I don't know. We would have our workout that day, and he wasn't too thrilled about it. He was kind of maybe going through the motions a little bit. The guy's a beast now.
Yeah.
He's in there, not beating me to the punch, but he's right there with me. And
nice.
We've had a great time. We haven't missed 1 week, like I said, since the season started. And
that's awesome.
We get our workouts in every week. It's important. We're trying to coach the team, right? But it's important for us to be mentally sharp, be physically sharp, so we can do the best job we can to coach the guys and be in a good.
Both of you guys could compete on this team. I do believe that. I believe that 100%. You guys could both compete on this team. Not just you because you played in the NHL.
I'll probably dominate, Bob.
Yeah.
Come on.
Maybe so. But I'm just saying, both of you guys today could go out there and skate with all these guys easily.
Especially Scherzi. If you've seen him now compared to how he looked at the start of the year.
Yeah, if we just get him to stop doing the stupid stuff like he did when he played,
you bet
he'd be okay.
Yeah, but
right?
I think he's over that stuff.
You think he's over that?
Oh, yeah, he's matured a lot. Have you seen him on the bench, man? The guy's calmed down.
Yeah, that's because he's afraid that you're going to get in his way.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's worked out good. I think he's been able to.
I think
he's done a fantastic job of being able to, not be so emotional.
Yeah.
And that takes you into a position where you can see way more. You can be way more, you can be way more observant when you're not so emotional all the time. You know what I mean? You got to take the emotions.
That's what I've told him.
There's going to be moments, of course. There's going to be moments where you're getting fired up. You're sticking up for the team. You're sticking up for your boys, this and that and the other thing. But if you can, for the most part, to try to keep yourself on an even keel as much as you can, that's going to benefit the team as much as possible because they're going to feed off your energy, right? If you have negative energy is going to flow through the team. If you got positive energy and you got even keel energy, that's going to flow right through the team. And it's going to go right into how they are and how they're operating.
One of the things I told him after the Danbury throwing the water and beer on top of the guys, I said, what you did wasn't right. What you should have done was pulled your guys off and just pulled them. There was like 4 minutes left in the game. I said, just pull them off. Take them off and take them in the locker room. And you tell the referees if they don't clear out that back section, you're not coming back out there and playing. Yeah. Because to me, that's how you protect your boys more than throwing a water bottle up into the rink. And you know what? Whether it's him listening to me or anything I've ever said, or listening to you or being around you, you've made a good difference on him. And that's really the really cool thing.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. We have a great relationship. We're great friends. And, in those situations, it's hard to say because, it's hard to, when things happen to you.
You don't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation.
Yeah. Until you're in that situation,
awesome.
Of course. So, and people are treating you like that. I mean, it's very hard to keep your composure.
Absolutely. Q, thank you very much. Good luck in the playoffs. Let's add another 20. See, this is my view right here. So you guys have spoiled me a little bit. Well, you haven't yet, but these guys have. And let's get another one up there, okay?
That's the plan, Bob.
All right, awesome. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was John Quenneville. He is the associate coach of the Binghamton Black Bears. And before that was, me and Taylor giving away a poster, and, of course, Emerson Emery as well. So support the Power Play Post Show by subscribing on YouTube. When you subscribe and like episodes, it signals to YouTube that hockey fans are engaging, which helps recommend the show to more viewers. As our community grows, and maybe even our catalog a little bit, we're able to deliver more interviews, insights, and hockey discussions. Subscribing and liking is the most effective and completely free way to support the show. Join fellow hockey fans and subscribe on YouTube today. And again, I do want to throw it out there. Taylor and I are working on and developing a YouTube show that will be 30 minutes long that you'll get to see us. Maybe we'll have a couple graphics up, that type of thing. And we'll discuss the most important things that really kind of need to be discussed, like we did earlier today with, say, Connor McAnanama, or last week when we did the first 30 minutes and it was basically a conversation. I think that was on Sunday when we did our weekend wrap-up show. We had 5 really good topics to talk about and whatnot. So we're going to develop that show and get that out sometime after the hopefully the championship, celebration, that type of thing. And we're going to get that going. So, but Taylor, we're going to preview the upcoming 2 games coming up.
So we're going to be previewing the Port Huron at home on Hall of Fame night, and then Saturday in Danbury. These 2 games this weekend will be the final games of the regular season versus the Prowler and the Wolves.
Thank God.
Oh, see, Saturday in Danbury. We messed that one up. Didn't catch that earlier. It's in Watertown, not Danbury.
It is.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
The Danbury Wolves.
I don't like it. It will be the 8th game versus the Prowlers. The Black Bears are 6-1 versus the Prowlers this season. And it will be the 17th game versus the Wolves this season. And the Black Bears are 15-1 this season versus the Wolves.
Yawn.
I'm sure you're so excited to see that number.
No.
17 games. The Black Bears have outscored the Prowlers this season through 7 games, 33 goals to 17. And the Black Bears have outscored the Wolves this season through 16 games, 100 goals to 39.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That is absolutely.
It's disgusting.
Just insane.
Disgusting.
The Black Bears have scored 10 goals twice against the Wolves, one on March 7th, 2026, and one February 2026. And apparently that's the way to get some ice cream.
Yeah, well, it is. And that was part of a great conversation. But I was going to say that we haven't even destroyed the Wolves the worst this year. No, that came from the Port Huron Prowlers. They beat them just last week, 12-1 or something. You'll read that in a few minutes, right?
Yeah. I'm going to get there in just a minute. The Prowlers will have 2 new players that the Black Bear fans should take notice of, which is that they signed Division I players Grayson Dietrich and Ryan Alexander. Grayson Dietrich played D1 American International College in Niagara College and has scored 5 goals in his first 2 games with the Prowlers. Center Ryan Alexander played 3-season D1 Arizona State, and then last season with the Colorado College, he has 2 assists on the season with the Prowlers. Last weekend, the Prowlers defeated the Wolves in 2 very different games.
Yep.
On Friday night, the Prowlers won 12-1 with Dietrich scoring 4 goals in his debut. I'm pretty sure he also had an assist in that game for a 5-point night, which is crazy.
He did.
Then on Saturday night, the Prowlers won 2-1 with Bobby Price scoring the game-winning goal before the midway point of the first period at the 9:46 mark. That is insane.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Wolves scored their only goal sometime in the middle of the second period, but the Prowlers had all that they needed, obviously, in that game through just 9 minutes and 46 seconds of the second period. And then the first goal of that game, obviously, was Grayson Dietrich. Now, here's the thing that I want to talk about when it comes to these 2 guys. Reggie Millette can call us soft all he wants, all day long, and I don't want to get into that too much. But here's the thing. The Prowlers, Matt Graham, is a lot smarter than probably most people would give him credit for. Because he knows, and I know Chris Paulin was the one that really kind of reached out and got these 2 D1 guys in. He's the one that kind of recruited them. But Matt Graham knows that their style of hockey is not going to win a championship. Playing good defense, which they're very good at, could win them a championship. But bringing in 2 D1 guys that have a higher skill set than even their own guys on their own team, that is what's going to help them. That's why I say look out for these guys. Not because I think that they're going to burn the Black Bears or score heavily on the Black Bears or be the difference maker. But what I do think will happen is we'll see a different style in their game based on these 2 guys being in here. So I think it's very important to kind of pay attention to these 2.
That's kind of an interesting kind of point to make, is that, thinking they're going to play differently than how they've played probably all season. in my mind would think like, it's kind of strange to be taking like, in my opinion, like a risk like that of playing differently.
Well,
because obviously their style of playing has, gotten them second the entire season. So it's not like their style of playing isn't working for them.
how many games have they beat us?
One.
Okay. Out of 6 tries, out of 7 tries, they beat us once. They've got to do something different. I mean,
and I get that, but yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see because at the same time, like they've tried, both styles against us, and it hasn't really worked out to their favor anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys bring to the table, and maybe it'll be a different game for sure. Which poor Emery, he really looks forward to these games because of how chippy and physical and everything that the Prowlers are. So yeah, I'm curious to see if these guys kind of either settle them down or if it gets even more chippy because of it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to say the least.
I think what we'll see is a little bit better scoring possibilities. I think that the Black Bears defense will have to be on their toes a little bit more based on these two guys probably bringing in the puck on a particular line. So that's what I think we're going to notice a little bit different is that they're going to be playing a little bit better, a higher skill kind of game versus always having to rely on the gritty and, but then what do I know? It could be 100 penalty minutes and I could be totally wrong.
Well, I mean, after the conversation with Q and stuff, they're taking this as a playoff game anyway. So,
right.
Even if they did come in and gave it their everything and gave it their all, I think that's just going to help us in the end. It'll really help them to see like if they do need to work on something or if they, if the defense is lacking in a spot or anything like that. I think it's just going to help us, down the road anyways.
That's fair. Okay.
The Black Bears last game was a loss to the Danbury Hat Tricks in Danbury on Saturday night by the score of 6-4. This was the first win for the Hat Tricks over the Black Bears since November 23rd of 2024.
Isn't that funny?
It's crazy.
It is. I do find it funny that, the last game that we played against the Hat Tricks, it's our first loss in their barn since, and it goes way back to November of 2024. I find it funny that we've beaten the Wolves twice by, having scoring 10 goals. And then the Prowlers do one us up a little bit. Right. And they win 12-1 against them. So that to me, that was just interesting. All right, the Prowlers are led by Bobby Price. He's now taken over. For the longest time, it was Alex Johnson and Matt Graham, but Bobby Price, 44 games played, 26 goals, 22 assists for 48 points, 4 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals, and 5 game-winning goals. Matt Graham, in 51 games played, has 17 goals, 30 assists for 47 points, 7 power play goals, and 6 game-winning goals. Lucas Lackney, 47 games played, 16 goals, 27 assists for 43 points, 5 power play goals, and 3 game-winning goals. Reed Cooper, probably the second best goaltender this year. You could probably put Carter McPhail in the possibilities there. 22-9-1 with a 2.26 goals against average and a 929 save percentage, and he does have 3 shutouts on the season. The Wolves are led by, now, the first 2 I put in there because they're still technically on the roster, yet on the transaction page it says listed, not yet reported. Okay. So not yet reported for these guys. We do think that they have left the team because they had to because of visa issues. Igor Filipov, 47 games played, 28 goals, 34 assists for 62 points. He's had a good season. I mean, realistically, on a Wolves team that hasn't been good this year, he's been one of the guys that has been good. 9 power play goals and 1 game-winning goal. And then Yefan Mishkin, who scores pretty decently on the Black Bears in 45 games played. He's got 21 goals, 27 assists for 48 points. That's basically their top line with Darian Benchik. He's got 3 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, and 4 game-winning goals. And then, of course, Darian Benchik could be basically the leader in points coming into this game on Saturday if the other 2 aren't there. 50 games played, 12 goals, 32 assists for 44 points, 2 power play goals, and 1 game-winning goal. And then Ricardo Gonzalez is probably going to be the goaltender we'll see, 8-15-5 with a 3.88 goals against average and an .83 save percentage. Now, of course, we all know that the Black Bears are led by CJ Stubbs. 50 games played, 39 goals, 54 assists for 93 points. He's got 12 power play goals, 5 shorthanded goals, and 9 game-winning goals. And it's interesting. He needs 7 points to get to 100 with 4 games left. His projection is still 101 points. So there's a good chance that he could get the 8 points that he needs. So he's basically averaging 1.9 per game, and he's got 4 games left. Ivan Bondarenko, 52 games played, 18 goals, 73 assists for 91 points, 3 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, 1 game-winning goal, 9 points to get to 100, 4 games left. His projection has gone down a little bit to 98 points. So Bondo's going to need like a big game out of one of these last 4 if he's going to get to 100 points. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Gavin Yates, 41 games played. I don't even think he's going to play on Friday. I'll be honest with you, folks. He was in the yellow jersey. And my guess is he does not play on Friday. 24 goals, 38 assists for 62 points for Gavin, 8 power play goals and 2 game-winning goals. They do miss him, Taylor. I think you can agree, we can all agree that when Gavin's not out there, the team misses him. Now, of course, they have a lot of great players and they make up for it in a lot of different ways. But I still think that when you don't have him skating across the ice in front of the goaltender, it takes a little bit of the Black Bears offense out of their game.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And, something that I was thinking about earlier as you were talking to Q is, they have the ability of basically taking any player on this team and either, they could sit a game or you could plug somebody in at literally any point. But yeah, at the same time, here we are talking about Gavin and he hasn't played the last couple of games. And you can almost, not that it's, vital that he's on the ice, but you can definitely tell like that he's not out there.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against like the way the team is clicking or the way the team is working or, their ability to score goals or anything like that. But it's just the stuff that Gavin brings to the ice, the energy, the passion, just everything, that the chaos that he can sometimes bring. It's just, it's something that I feel like, the fans can sense it. The team obviously can sense it. So yeah, I definitely agree that he is missed, and hopefully he's back out there soon, and it'll be interesting to kind of see. Maybe it's a good thing if we're gonna face Port Huron without him, because we don't need him, chomping at somebody and getting in trouble.
I say you give him the next 3 days off, the next 3 games off, and he plays the final game of the regular season, and it's his 200th regular season game as a Black Bear, which will be a great milestone to finish up on. And then he goes into the playoffs. That gives him a plenty of time to kind of rest and heal and be ready, because, Gavin Yates was our MVP of the first championship. And so I really do think that we want to make sure that Gavin Yates is a part of the playoffs somehow, some way. All right. Dominic Tomei is our goaltender, obviously, at the moment. 26-2-1 with a 1.88 goals against average and a 9.29 save percentage. 7 shutouts, which is a single-season franchise record, and now is tied with Brendan Colgan for 7 for the league record. Gets 1 more, and he's got the league record. Special teams. Binghamton power play is ranked second, 73 power play goals and 25%. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation that I had with Q about the power play. Some of it is very granular, and you have to probably rehear it a couple different times just to make sure you completely understand where Q is coming from. But that's a guy who is talking because he's played at the NHL level, and that's the way he sees it. He sees it at a granular level, not at just a high level like everybody else. The PK for the Black Bears is ranked first, 28 power play goals, 89% kill rate. Port Huron, there's a lot of P's there. Port Huron power play is ranked 11th, 44 power play goals with 16% conversion rate, and their PK is ranked second in the league, right behind the Black Bears. They've given up 39 power play goals. They probably give a lot more chances to people, but they're saving at the 85% kill rate. Watertown's power play is ranked 9th, 41 power play goals for a 19%. They're a little bit better than the Port Huron Prowlers in that category, and their PK is ranked 12th with 59 power play goals and 77% kill rate. Great weekend, or a great week. I hope you enjoyed practice again today. I know it's always great to go and see those guys out on the ice, a lot of the fun. There was even a moment where I think Jacob Shankar ran into Dominic Tomei, if I remember correctly, and then some of the guys came to his defense.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was one of the players, because then Dominic came over and like he was gonna fight Shankar kind of thing.
Yeah, and
he
him.
wrapped his arms around. Yeah, I don't remember which.
Oh no,
I think it was Bondarenko.
Bondarenko came around and hugged him.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting moment. Yeah. And it's so kind of cool to because you get to see him work hard, and then you get these like fun little moments like what we just mentioned, and you get to see him kind of like let loose a little bit, and it's a different element. It's definitely interesting to kind of see they do for one, but then to see this other side of them where they're on the ice, but they're it's not a game. So you definitely get to see some more personality come out of a couple of them. So it's pretty interesting. Like Bondarenko, you can hear him probably over everybody.
Yeah, he's pretty loud.
He's
on the
very
ice.
loud when he's on the ice.
So is Weber. Weber is very vocal on the ice during practice, which I think is always.
Well, he's
cool.
what was it?
Practice captain. He's the practice captain.
Yeah, he's got it on his jersey and everything. It's so funny.
Yep. All right, the Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe, because if not, Taylor's going to tell you to do it again on the next show. Join the conversation on Facebook, search Power Play Post Show, and become part of our community. We've had 20, 30 people over the last few weeks join the Power Play Post Show's Facebook group, which is great. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. And Taylor, who's coming up on the Sunday show?
On the Sunday show, you are going to have Cole Parenti, which I was not a part of that one, but you are still going to have Jerry D'Amigo and the fun 6 more questions with Emerson Emery that you have not heard yet before.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, Emerson Emery, and associate coach, I didn't forget his name. His name is John Quenneville. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you guys next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Petitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.